A pastor has just offered a chilling message for Erika Kirk. And we have got our hands on this sick plot twist coming out of a pastor around Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk and how he plans to replace him in a way that is just like very awkward and uncomfortable. So you can hide a lot behind a collar and a Bible. We've seen that. But a newly surfaced video is making that impossible for one very churchy leader today. So imagine looking Erika Kirk in the eye and putting a expiration date on her life and saying she only has a few years left before she's taken home. Creepy, no? Very creepy, I'd say. And then in the very next breath, declaring that you are going to step in and become the new father to her kids. A new father? Come on, that's weird. If anyone was saying that to me, that would be fucking weird. So people use religion all the time to deflect accountability, but this time we're not going to let you buy that because it seems like this particular pastor has some sort of sick plot to replace Charlie Kirk. So you think that sounds like the beginning of a true crime documentary? Stay with me because somehow it gets worse. It always gets worse, doesn't it? This isn't some random church leader. This is a pastor who is a major player behind the scenes at Turning Point USA. He is intrinsically tied to Turning Point USA and all of its cultiness. And the absolute darkest piece of this puzzle, you ready for it? A massive red flag nobody wants to talk about. His son was physically at the exact location where Charlie Kirk was. Yep. I'm going to show you the footage they didn't want you to connect and all the unbelievable corruption rotting inside that church by these so-called spiritual leaders who all just so happen to be tied to one of the biggest, shadiest public pew-pews in recent times. Okay, so real quick, if you're new here, I'm Lauren Paritra, Willa Paritra. We do this, her and I do this every single day out of pure principle and an absolute refusal to let you guys ever be caught by Stephen Miller unsuspectingly. He's molting. He's molting again. He's molting behind Turning Point USA merch booths. So maybe you get your little freedom t-shirt and there's a little bit of Stephen Miller skin on it. Just wipe it off. He's very pale and he can smell an unsubscribed viewer. He can smell you from a great distance. So if you are not subscribed, I need you to hit subscribe. I need you to find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listen or watch, and you need to hit subscribe. Turn those notifications on, follow, leave a 5-star rating, comment 6 words or more, hype this video if you're watching on YouTube because you need to stay safe and do your part to build up this Stephen Miller perimeter around yourself and your neighborhood. You never know when he's going to take up residency underneath your sink. So be safe out there. So this is the first thing I need you to pay attention to. A little hot mic moment. If you're not familiar with these characters, you just wait. I'm going to tell you who everyone is. But first, I need you to take a look at this piece of video circulating. This is a leaked clip from Turning Point USA in a staff meeting. This staff meeting took place right before AmFest. I was at AmFest. That's what I refer to as Kirkchella. I was there not as like a Kool-Aid guzzling Turning Point USA fan, but I was filming an unscripted series and had a lot of things to say to it. Just wanted to tap in and see what the fuck was going on over here. And this is where they had, if you remember, they had the photo booth where you could take your picture in like a nativity scene of where Charlie Kirk was. Anywho, it was a weird event with very distasteful activations, unsurprisingly. But take a look at Turning Point USA Chief of Staff Mikey McCoy and look at Erika Kirk.
And it's crazy to look back and you just kind of see the Lord kind of knitting his own beautiful image that sometimes we just don't always see. But we're blessed to be here for the second staff meeting at AmFest with you.
Okay, so this video shows Erika Kirk standing on a coffee table on a pedestal. She's prepping for her first time leading AmFest. And shockingly, Mikey takes this moment not to reminisce about Charlie's legacy, but to insinuate instead that Charlie being assassinated was all part of God's plan to usher in the coming of Erika Kirk, and everyone in the room is just all smiles. The only thing missing were the palm leaves to fan her and the grapes to feed her.
Okay, so if that made you feel some sort of way, same. But let's just go back to that for a second. Did you hear what happened in this clip? Mikey McCoy is telling people, he doesn't know he's being recorded, he's telling Erika Kirk to her face that Charlie's was literally God's plan, just to put her in charge of the empire. And Look at the room. Erika is standing on a coffee table like she's already being crowned the queen of this organization. There is zero mourning happening here. Nobody's crying. Nobody's acknowledging the pain and loss and mourning. Nobody's reflecting on Charlie Kirk. They're smiling, nodding. Mikey's acting like Charlie's pew-pew was just a necessary piece of divine intervention to clear the path for Erika Kirk and her upcoming, this was before the sparkliest of pantsuits. So what's up with that? The exact same team spent months gaslighting the public before this, telling us, trust the official story.
The first time I met Charlie was when I was driving him and his then girlfriend Erika to the airport after he had spoken at my father's church. The entire car ride, he was grilling me on Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, American history. At the end, he said, "Don't go to college, come work for me instead."
Meanwhile, behind closed doors, they're kind of talking about his death like it's a promotion of Erika Kirk. But it gets much darker. Because if you think that hot mic comment was an isolated, twisted little joke, look at what happened minutes before the shots actually rang out at UVU. We have this footage. It was captured from a blind spot on Charlie's left angle, an angle that was never supposed to be seen. And again, one woman band, we're not able to verify everything. So just this is for entertainment purposes only. But look here. So Mikey McCoy is pointing at something, gesturing at something. Look. And he does it again. And we're going to stop there. What was he doing? Why was he doing that? Could have been gesturing a camera person to come over. Could have been something completely innocent. Also could have been that he pointed up at the roof. Not once, but twice. The exact roof where allegedly the FBI later confirmed the pew-pews came from. What is he looking at? Mikey hasn't to this point said a word about it. And Turning Point USA got caught lying about it when they tried to address it on the show. So if you think those are just uncoordinated little mistakes, explain this footage right here. So listener, you can do everything right. You can have strong passwords, security apps, alerts turned on, and still it's not enough. Because then you get the notification, unusual activity detected. You open your banking app and the money is already gone. Scammers aren't just after your data anymore. They're after your money, your credit, your identity, and your time. That's why I switched to CoverOn. CoverOn doesn't just detect problems, it steps in when money is on the line. If your personal data is exposed or your accounts start acting suspicious, you get real-time alerts and expert support to help secure everything before it becomes a full takeover. And if money is already gone, you're covered with serious financial backup, up to $10,000 if you lose money to scams or online fraud, up to $2 million in identity theft recovery coverage, up to $25,000 in home title insurance, and up to $50,000 if you're targeted with cyber extortion or threats. Because protection isn't just about stopping threats, it's about what happens after. You don't need another notification telling you something went wrong. You need actual financial backup. So one scam can cost you everything, and I need you to protect yourself now. The first 100 users get 20% off with code LPTV at checkout. You're going to go to coveron.com/LPTV. Don't wait until a small mistake becomes a full financial disaster. Protect yourself now. Look at Mikey McCoy appearing to flub his lines, having to be coached in real time by Frank Turek, who we also talk a lot about here. And look at how they're all mugging for the camera. What on earth are they so rizzed up about?
He left behind these blueprints for her. And
for you.
Yeah, there you go.
And for you, Mikey.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Yeah.
A little biased because church people do make me feel a little bit creeped. But like, what's with the smiles? They're nonstop smiles. It doesn't ever stop with the smiles because we also have phone records, allegedly, that paint an even stranger picture. So Mikey McCoy, creepy, constipated Blake Neff, and Terrell Farnsworth all fled the scene. Together, they allegedly made 5 frantic calls between them. Not a single one of them to 911. Even weirder, Mikey jammed 3 calls of such massive, grave nature into a single 60-second window before he could even have had any real information. So who was he updating? And I'm going to show you this alleged call log.
So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realize there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erika. And then he takes his phone, and he begins calling Erika. And I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this, but that is happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erika. Around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting. You're going to see it on the news. I'm okay. Pray for me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy, and he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now.
I wasn't even there. Mikey was two
Mikey's
steps
talked
away,
about that.
And I asked him, I was like, do you even remember the moments after? He's like, I can't even really remember. I know I called Erika. I know I called my wife. I know I called my dad. I can't even really remember the steps I took. I can't.
I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. And I'm watching the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray.
I also asked him who he was on the phone with after Charlie got shot. And he told me, and I kid you not, he was on the phone with the ops that were back in Arizona watching. And I said, what ops? We don't have people back in Arizona watching when we do college campus events. Is that something new? He said, yes, it is new.
So to summarize, 20 people called 911 after Charlie Kirk was shot, but neither Mikey McCoy, nor Blake Neff, nor Terrell Farnsworth was one of them. Instead, Mikey called Erika Kirk, then he called his wife Elizabeth, then he called his dad Rob. Blake Neff called his mother, and Terrell Farnsworth called the ops back in Arizona. Now, I know there was a lot of stuff going on, and it was really crazy, but I do think it is kind of weird that they didn't think to call 911. But, maybe I'm being unreasonable. What do you guys think?
Mikey McCoy's wife works for Turning Point USA too, by the way. Why would a chief of staff tell a grieving widow that her husband's was meant to happen? To understand his actions on the ground and all of this, we should also look at his dad's behavior. His dad is a pastor, deeply involved in Turning Point USA, and he also is just a little bit off. So here's him in Korea, acting very Erika Kirky, if you will.
맞추면서 말할게요.
Korea needs freedom, and the church is the soul of this nation. It's time to stand for truth regardless of the consequences.
한국은 이 자유가 필요합니다. 그리고 교회는 국가의 양심입니다. 그 대한민국을 지키기 위해서.
Oh my God. Okay, so why are you taking your shirt off? Why are you doing a little striptease? Like, weird. And to really find the root of this corruption, you have to listen to his father's most recent words, because this is the connection they don't want us to think about. And it's the proof to me that there is something rotten in this church. There is something creepy going on with this church's hierarchy. Take a look at this deeply unsettling clip of Mikey's father, Pastor Rob McCoy. And here he is giving a sermon of sorts.
Charlie, Erika's going to be a widow for a few years before the Lord, takes her home, because life is a dash. Your children aren't going to be fatherless, because I'll be a father to the fatherless.
That makes me feel some kind of way. So this is a spiritual leader doing what he does, placing a public expiration date on Erika Kirk's life, saying she's going to be taken home in a few years. And then without missing a beat, skirt into this weird pivot about a declaration that when she passes, he will step in to be the new father to the fatherless children. Bro, what? Why is a pastor saying this? Why is he putting an expiration date on it? Like, this is the moment to me that, like, my understanding of the Charlie Kirk mystery starts to shift again. There's a lot of strange coincidences, a lot of rich history in the church of doing shit that they shouldn't do, and then hiding it with, like, we're religious, it's okay. But we're kind of hearing a succession plan. And when you connect the son on the ground at UVU pointing at the roof and the son on the hot mic telling Erika she was meant to take over, and then the pastor father claiming authority over Erika's timeline and her children, paints a very interesting picture to me. Not like they're mourning a tragedy here either. Feels like, dare I say that this is like more of a transition plan? And they're hiding, of course, behind God and the Bible and all of this to kind of protect themselves from public scrutiny. Imagine if anyone else said that. Imagine like it was a, what's another community thing that you participate in? What if that was your like rec soccer, adult soccer league, and somebody was saying that? You'd be like, what the fuck? You don't get to say that about me or my wife or my whatever, or my husband. They are laying the groundwork here for something very interesting with Turning Point USA, with religious extremism. And if the church didn't have a shady involvement in here, why are they at the center of it now? I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear what you guys think. What other connections are you seeing in this? Leave us a comment. Let us know. I want to hear from the Charlie Kirk stands, the skeptics, all of it. So let us know in the comments. We'll be in there with you, and we'll be back with more.